Okay, we're recording now. Bring us in, Tom.
Well, welcome back to the Tom and D Show. We've been doing quite a few of these now, and we've come a long way since our first podcast. You know, we're actually doing it on our own. We don't need your friends' help or anything.
That's right. Yeah, this is, I don't know how many we've done now. This is around a dozen, maybe less.
I think it's been about 9 or 10, somewhere around there. We don't keep track, man. It's all by the seat of our pants. You know, none of us even know what episode we're in. That's how casual we are.
Yeah, I think the audience has kind of figured out that it's by the seat of our pants.
Yes.
There's clearly no planning.
Tom and D.
Two middle-aged idiots.
Before we introduce our guests, I just want to recap because I haven't talked to you in a while. How's everything going? What's the latest?
Well, not a lot to report. I thought I had another offer on the house and everything looked like it was maybe going in that direction. But man, it is the worst time to sell a house. I mean,
enough about you. I'm sorry. I'm going to interject here because I got fucking hellacious couple of weeks coming up in a good way. It's all good, but it's just a lot going on.
Well, your daughter's getting married, isn't she?
Well, yeah. So I'm flying out on Thursday with my my life partner Annie, and we are going out to San Luis Obispo for my son's graduation from Cal Poly. That's this coming Saturday, and then we fly back on Sunday to Kansas City. I'm kind of based between Kansas City and Denver. She lives in Kansas City. I spend the majority of my time here, where I am now, and then I drive to Denver on Monday. She drives with her kids on Tuesday, and then Wednesday we have a rehearsal dinner and rehearsal, of course, and then Thursday is the big wedding. My daughter's getting married, and then off to her honeymoon, and then a week later, she and her new husband will be moving to Houston area, where she's going to be starting law school soon at University of Houston, and then he's going to be starting his PhD program at University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston. So,
wow.
So many changes.
A lot of change in a couple of weeks.
I feel like I'm going to have yet another midlife crisis.
Your second one in 3 weeks, though. Where is the wedding? Where is your daughter's wedding?
It's Lafayette area. Lafayette, okay. Colorado. So kind of between Denver and Boulder. And
a Thursday wedding isn't something that you normally hear too much about, is there?
No, I think Friday was booked up, but you know what? Thursday saves a little bit of money. So if I were to give any advice about I'm not exactly the person to give advice about anything wedding related or marriage related.
But get married on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, hey, save some money.
But hey, enough about me, which is
how about this? Enough about you. I'll talk about you.
Right. There you go. Exactly.
Okay, Joan Rivers.
Right. Well, I want to bring on our guest because I do have a guest today. And this guy, I worked with him. I can't even remember how many years ago. Hopefully he has a better memory than I do. But we worked on a couple of different movies. I want to say at least 2, maybe 3. I knew him as a casting director, and I think he still is one of the most renowned casting directors that there is. But he's a producer, he's a writer. As a writer, he's an author and a screenwriter. And this guy is so talented and so funny, absolutely charming. I can't say enough great things about him. My friend, the multi-hyphenate, Craig Campobasso. Craig, where are you?
There I am.
Hey, Craig.
How you doing?
Good, thanks. How about you? It's been a minute.
I know. It has been a minute. It's good to see you.
So what did we work on?
We worked on a spoof movie called The Godson.
Oh, I remember that.
With Dom DeLuise and Rodney Dangerfield. And the one thing that I remember a lot from that movie.
Yeah.
But the one thing I remember is, Rodney was always late.
Oh, yeah. And drunk.
A little hungover. And he didn't know his lines. So
that is hilarious.
So Dom said Dom played one of the Godfathers. One was called The Odd Father, and I forget what the other one was called.
Right.
and they're both at opposite ends of the table, and they're both talking like Marlon Brando, and the director was just flipping out, and Dom said to the director, Bob, put a camera on him and put a camera on me, and I'll take care of it. And he said, Rodney, I'm going to say this, you say this. And so that's how they got through the scene. Then they started ad-libbing, and the funniest ad-lib they kept in the movie when Rodney Dangerfield said, "Hey, Oddfather, we ever meet in prison?" And Dom DeLuise said, "I don't know, turn around."
Oh my God. I became really, really good friends with Dom. I did several movies with him. He really became like a father. As he called me, he was the fourth son he never wanted. And
that's awesome.
I used to meet with him like every Tuesday that I wasn't working. Unfortunately, it was too often, but I would go over to his house and just hang with he and whoever showed up. And it would be like Mel Brooks or Burt Reynolds or, just any great that would just happen to just come over there. But it was also just like some random, like, the guy that installed his floor or something. But everyone that sat at Dom's table had, equal say. There was no pretense. Dom was just such a great guy. But anyway, that movie
Wait
was
a second. Wait. If
you're
going to talk up Dom, then I got to tell my one Rodney story.
Okay.
And usually when I tell it, I say that it was me because it makes it more funny, but it doesn't really matter. So Caprita, who we've had on this show before, he and I were both working for this limousine company out in Los Angeles. And we drove some cool people, some famous people, but we were working for the Tonight Show a lot. So I'll say who it really was. It was Caprita. He's driving with Rodney in the back going to the Tonight Show. Well, it just so happened that the little circuit in the back left window, that whole door was not working. The windows wouldn't roll down. It wouldn't unlock. And he happened to be sitting there. So he says, "Hey," he goes, "stop off at that 7-Eleven. I want to get a pack of cigarettes." He's like, "No problem." So he pulls in and he's like, "Hey," he goes, "this door won't open." And David's like, "Okay, hold on." And he comes around and opens up the door. The guy goes inside, gets his cigarette. Rodney sits back down and he goes, "Hey, this window won't roll down." Well, the company's name was Gemstar. And then he goes, "What's the name of this company?" And he goes, "Gemstar." He goes, "Jumpstart?" And he goes, "No, Gemstar." He goes, "It ain't no gem, let me tell you." I mean, that's how quick his sense of humor is.
Oh, yeah.
Just right on the spot,
Right.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was great.
Yeah. Conversely, though, I remember on The Godson where I shouldn't say conversely because there are some good and bad elements to this, but he would just be sort of passed out in his director's chair until it was like time to roll. And he would hear, ready, roll sound, action. And he would just pop to it and go, "Hey," and do his lines and then cut, and he would just collapse in the chair again.
Oh my God, that is so funny.
Yeah, he had energy, but man, when he wasn't on, he was off. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Weren't you in that movie, Deren? Weren't you in that movie? Didn't you have a small role in that?
I did. It was like Billy Bob Thornton because I think at that time it was shortly after Sling Blade came out. And so we were all kind of doing like that Billy Bob Sling Blade voice.
I like them French fry
potatoes. We were all in the movie. I was in the movie. My assistant Tamra was in the movie.
That's right.
My parents were in the movie. My godmother was in the movie.
Your dog was in the movie.
I mean, what's so great about it is they're all gone now, my parents and my godmother. And I actually found it on Tubi. And so I watched it just to see my parents and my godmother. Oh. Right? It was pretty cool.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, it was great.
That's great. Craig, what else have we done together? Do you recall?
We did a movie that was originally called Guido, I don't know. And then it was changed to Fatal Blade, sort of, a Chopsaki kind of movie. Gary Daniels starred in it.
Right.
Well, I remember they gave me a week to cast it. which was crazy. Eric Lutz was in it. Oh my God, Eric! Seiko Matsuda, who was the Japanese Madonna, right? So when they were filming this movie, there were hordes of Japanese photographers that flew over here. Everywhere that we filmed on location, they were there snapping tons of pictures.
Wow, that's cool. They have your own fan club, you know?
I know. Victor Rivers, Christopher Duncan. I cast in Original Gangstas, which was, you know, with all of the original gangsters, you know, Fred Williamson, Pam Grier, Richard Roundtree.
Wow, Pam Grier's cool.
You know, all the original black exploitation stars. And he also was on like the Jamie Foxx show all those years, playing a sort of Urkel kind of character. I hired Cuba Gooding Jr.'s father in a part. I'm just looking. I don't even remember. This is like fun for me because I can't remember who I hired because it was so long ago.
So Cuba Gooding's father would have been Cuba Gooding.
He would have been Cuba Gooding, and Cuba Jr. looks just like his dad. And weirdly enough, when they found him dead in his car one day, and it was around the corner from where my sister lives, out in the valley, which I thought was, you know, just strange, but that was kind of fun.
What, the part where his father died near your sister?
No, you know,
no, way to bring the show down.
Having him in the film. I mean, yeah. Cuba Jr. almost did this other film I cast called Red Line. It was a race car movie. So he was there in the initial castings.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
And the producer had a giant office. Yeah. And there was a bathroom in his office, and Cuba was in there. And I brought an actress in to read, and I said, "So, what do you think about the actor Cuba Gooding Jr.?" She goes, "I don't like him very much." And I said, "Really?" I'm like, "Why?" And so she starts giving a laundry list, and he walks out, and he's just standing there like this.
I'll bet.
I said, "Well, I'd like you to meet Cuba Gooding Jr."
Oh my God!
Oh my God! That's
I know. Just a little thing, actors. Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know.
Never know who's going to the bathroom off the producer's office.
I know.
Craig, you have done so many movies. How many do you think that you've cast or been a part of in some way? Like, do you even know? Like, in the
it's well over. It's in the 100. It's over 100 for sure. Yeah. But I tell people, I've also cast as many movies that never went, right? Because sometimes we're getting we're getting actors for them to finish their financing, or they have their financing and then all of a sudden it falls through, or we're actually shooting the movie and then the financier pulls out and they've already shot 2 weeks. So there's so many different elements to it, but I've cast TV, film, and all of that, and then just started getting into more producing, writing, and directing about maybe about 15 years ago. So
I want to hear more about that.
But first, I want to hear about that Independence Day looking poster behind you.
This is one of my short films right there. It's called Stranger at the Pentagon. And people can watch it on Amazon Prime, or if you go to Vimeo and type in Stranger at the Pentagon, you can download it there or rent it. It's only rentable on Amazon Prime. Anyway, it's a great story. I got the rights to the book. That's my next thing, is I'm going to be making the feature film. And It's based on a true story about a created being. Now, a lot of people go, "What's a created being?" It's a human that doesn't have a belly button, and they're created from the Godhead. So it would be like an angel in human form, right? This man, it was foretold to our government that he was going to be coming during the Eisenhower administration, and then it was told what day he would be arriving, and so they picked him up. It was a Saturday, and then he became the guest of our government for 3 years, exactly 3 years. He lived in a Pentagon apartment. And the story is just fascinating. And in real life, I have had Secret Servicemen from that era. I'm still friends with a major from that era. And they all say, oh, and one CIA, ex-CIA guy who has now passed away, they all said that story is true. And they said, some of them told me little bits more about, bits and pieces and stories and all of those. And then I've actually met two women who were in their teenage years when he actually was going and meeting with small groups of people to sort of teach them about the universe and, what his mission was and that kind of thing. So one woman met him twice in like a span of 2 weeks, and another woman's father worked for the military, and so she was able to meet him once. So it was just fascinating to hear their stories and that kind of thing. So
that's crazy. Now, did they actually witness the belly button or lack therereof? I mean, did they say, "Prove it that you're not just some guy"?
Nobody said it. Nobody said it. Nobody said that. Now, I don't even know if the teenage girls would have known that he was a created being because he just looks like us, right? Actually, this is what he looks like. This is him right there.
The guy with the dark suit
in
front?
Right.
This one, I'm covering the other ones up. So you
describe to the audience what you're doing. Because we do have a video component of this that comes out a week after it's released on podcast.
Oh, well, if you do that, you could go like on my YouTube thing and all of what do you call it? The trailer and all that stuff is there.
Right.
So his name is Valiant Thor. The guy next to him is called Dawn, who is also from where he comes from. And the woman in the blonde hair, they called her Jill. And Jill is the wife of another vice commander on Valiant Thor's craft. So like one of the posters behind me is actually the blueprints to his craft, Victor 1, which holds 200 people, and that there are many. There's Victor 1, Victor 2, Victor 3, Victor 4. So there's, and they're in over 287 locations, monitoring everything that's going on Earth. Wow. So it's a really, really fascinating story.
Oh, it sounds like it.
Yeah,
definitely. Is this a genre and sort of a tone and direction that you are kind of attracted to? Do you have other projects in a similar vein, or
look at there?
Yeah. All right. So he's holding up a book,
The Extraterrestrial Species Almanac: The Ultimate Guide to Greys, Reptilians, Hybrids, and Nordics.
And who's the author of that? I see a very familiar name.
There he is,
Craig Campobasso. All right.
Yeah, I found this stuff so fascinating. I started studying contactee cases, which means face-to-face contact with beings not of this earth, right? Contactees, they're contacted and they share their information with them. Abductees are taken against their will. That's the difference. So I started studying these cases when I was 25, and my book agent had put together a deal with Red Will Weiser and MUFON, the MUFON Mutual UFO Network. And And so he knew this, and he knew of everything that I've done. And then I had written a previous book series called The Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial Saga. It's a 4-part book series. And so he called me and he said, I've got an idea for a book. He gave me the title of the book, right? And I said, oh my God, I could totally write that. I said, I have logged over 125. And he said, well, do a little proposal. I did. And 4 days later, I signed a contract and was writing the book. Now, that never happens in the book world. Never, ever happens.
Oh, no way.
So, interestingly enough, my mother had told me when I was 12 that my father was my stepfather because they married when I was 1. And that I had a biological father, and she only knew his name, and she knew very little about him. But when I was writing this book, I had tried to find him on the internet, but I couldn't. A genealogist from Canada called me, and she goes, "I'm your third and fourth cousin on your mother's father's side. I do this for a living. I'm looking for info." I gave her the info and I said, "Hey, can you find my biological father?" She goes, "Yep, I can find anybody." She found him. It didn't take her too long. And she told me where he was buried. He had already passed away in 2006. And this was maybe 1999 or something like that. And she said, he's buried at Forest Lawn. So I went down there and I said, "Do you have a name of anybody that called to pick up the body?" And she goes, "Well, let me look." And she goes, "As a matter of fact, I do." And she gave me the guy's name, different last name. I said, "Do you have a phone number?" And she goes, "Nope." But I came home, looked the guy up, 74-year-old man living around the corner from me, literally. So I wrote a letter, I stuck my picture in there, I told him the story, and I said, if you know anybody in Fred's family, can you pass it on? So a few days later, I get a call from his son, who, of course, works at Disney.
Right. Small world. That's funny.
And he says, "My dad got your letter." He goes, "This is just crazy." He said, "You are a doppelganger for his brother." He said, "Oh," because at first I said, "Oh, is your dad friends with Fred?" He goes, "No, it's his half brother."
Wow.
And I went, "Oh, wow, you're like my cousin." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "This is just wild." So I met them for a long, long 3-hour dinner. And I said, "Just tell me everything about him." I said, "I don't even know what he looks like. Bring pictures, do whatever you can." And an hour into, my uncle just kept going, "This is crazy. You look just like him. You're the same height."
That is so freaky.
He's like, "I'm so mad at him. We could have had you in our lives this whole time." In all their lives now.
Yeah.
But anyway, an hour into it, he said, he started telling me about his military career and the Air Force and all of that. And he goes, "Oh yeah, he was in Project Blue Book."
Wow.
And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Project Blue." I said, "Do you know what that is?" He goes, "Well, I know it's the study of UFOs and extraterrestrials." He goes, "And my sons," he has 3 sons. He said, "My sons always try to get out of him, information, but he never would budge. He would just smile and say, 'Well, some people say they exist,' is all he would say." Right. And then he said, at a certain point, he just didn't want to be in it. He had risen through the ranks really quickly. And then he just didn't want to be there. Right. And he came back and he ultimately became the head of construction at Warner Brothers for film and TV. So here I am writing books for MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. He was working for Project Blue Book, which was the government's study of it. I cast movies. He built the sets for movies. So
that is
It's in the DNA. It's in the DNA, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know Deren has, but the movie Waiting for Guffman. Have you seen that?
Oh
before?
yeah, of course.
Well, I
saw
love this
it a
one.
long time
Yeah,
ago.
Christopher Guest film. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and they show the guy who's like the head of the historical project. He goes, we went on this UFO for a potluck dinner, and he holds up the thing. We all went on for a potluck dinner. I always think.
Well,
every time
speaking
I
of
hear about-
UFO films, have you guys seen Paul? The movie.
Oh yeah, I
Paul?
loved it. Yeah,
Oh,
one of my
so
favorites.
funny. I just saw that for the first time the other day. I think it came out around maybe like 2020, 2021, but so fucking funny.
It's so
Great cast. Yeah, I think it's like Seth Rogen or someone that's the voice
Seth
of
Rogen. Yeah, Seth Rogen did it.
He's the alien. Yeah, it's so great. Yeah, great cast.
Exactly. So anyway, the book became an instant bestseller on Amazon. All everywhere, and then I started getting calls for companies that wanted to make it into a documentary even before the book came out.
Wow!
Like, well, I'm a filmmaker; I can do that myself.
Yeah,
so I did, and there's the documentary.
Awesome,
which,
very cool.
Right now, can be rented or downloaded on Vimeo, or if you want to get the DVD. You can go to my website, which is Autobiography of ANET.com. And if you click on other books, all of my books and stuff is on that website. So if you order anything off there, I sign up for everything.
How many books did you say you've written?
I've got 7 published books, and I've got 3 unpublished books that I'm adding to my book series. I'm just finishing the 3rd one now, and then just going to kind of go through them all methodically again before I release them. So
but Tom, these last 3, he deviated slightly from the UFO, and this is all from the perspective of like a 10-year-old girl who wants to be a princess. I'm just kidding.
I was like, who? A principal?
Yeah, no, it's a book series, the Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial Saga. Yeah, I don't do short titles, and I sure wish I did. So,
well, maybe there's a little acronym there that can work. Like
I know.
You can save on letterhead. You can save on.
Oh my god, it's crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. So, didn't you just get back from something too, where you were engaged in? I don't know. Maybe it was a previous cast or promoting your books or series.
Yeah,
what was that?
I went up about a month ago. I went up to San Francisco. I did a big UFO conference up there where I spoke and had a book table. And then I just got back from Contact in the Desert, which is really kind of like the biggest UFO conference in the world. They have it every year at the very end of May into the beginning of June. It's down in Indian Wells at the Santa Esmeralda Hotel. This year, there was probably well over 3,000 people there.
Wow.
Yeah,
was George Norrie there? George Norrie?
Of course George was there.
I don't know that name. Who is that?
He's a radio. Yeah, go ahead.
He's the host of Coast to Coast AM, which is, the biggest talk show for UFOs, aliens, high strangeness, all that. Yeah, I've been on the show, I think 3 or 4 times. Every time I get something new, I go on and I used to go around with George when he would do in-person ones and stuff. Just hang with him and protect him from all the people.
Yeah, he worked. I'm not sure if it's still Premier Radio Networks or not, but
it is.
It was a buddy of mine who actually got him on Premier Radio Networks. Trevor Oliver, and then Caprita sometimes would sit in there and produce and pull up the pods and stuff like that if there's people calling in. So I've never met him, but I certainly know of him, and he is like a god among people who are into this.
He's so amazing, and to make it even cooler, George Norrie and George Knapp did a talk together.
Wow!
At Contact in the Desert. George Knapp is the guy from Las Vegas who broke the Bob Lazar case, who, he was the one that was reverse engineering craft at Area 51. And he's got a new series on UFOs on Netflix. It is one of the best I've ever seen.
What's it called?
I can't remember the name.
This is George Knapp, right?
That's George Knapp. Yeah, George Knapp. Man, it was good. It's like 6 episodes.
Definitely have to check it out.
Yeah,
definitely check it out.
Craig, for the people that may be skeptical about extraterrestrials, people that may be unsure about what's going on at Area 51, which I think is everybody, what do you say to that? What do you think is going on at Area 51? What's your thoughts about evidence, real versus manufactured versus your own personal beliefs about, whether or not we've been visited by alien life?
Well, when you've been in it in the deep dive as long as I have, you hear face-to-face people telling their stories of face-to-face. You see the initial fear that was in them. I have a man named Maurizio Cavallo, who is a contactee of the Clarion race. They look similar to humans, except they look just a little different, right? They're very beautiful. And we actually went into his remote village to film him for the documentary. And he has pictures of all of them. And he goes through each one and tells you why they're here, what their job is, et cetera, et cetera. So there is that. But, if people want absolute proof, then what you do is you start following people like Stephen Bassett, who has been the head of Disclosure, Danny Sheehan, who is also part of the Paradigm Research Group. Danny Sheehan is one of the top lawyers that goes in. Remember when they were doing the pipeline on the Indian reservation?
Sure, yeah. Right.
Everyone was having that. He went in there and he represented them for free. Right? He is huge. These guys talk with the government. Right? So, and one case which is very interesting is a friend of mine who is also interviewed in the documentary and is in the book. I went to North Carolina where he was abducted, and he showed me everything, where everything was and how it happened. And then after it happened, he moved him and his wife and 4 children out of that house, because when they came home, just him and his son, the rest of the family was gone. When him and his young son came home, these beings that had abducted him were walking out of his backyard from the forest towards him. And to see the fear and the stuff on them. But then, here's the thing. Dark things happened and really wonderful things happened as well from it. But when he's telling me about these beings coming out of the forest, I keep snapping photos with my Minolta camera. And when I'm laying in bed in the hotel the next morning, I'm just flicking through the pictures, and I frickin' got it on camera.
Show us.
What is it? What is it?
Well, I put it in the book. It's in the very back of the book. And I'll tell you what it looked like. Its legs started like where our knees are. That's as long as their legs were. And then the rest was torso, a thin neck, a round head. I would say they may have had kind of bug eyes, but it was wearing goggles, and it was holding this light source. And I knew that was like an interdimensional device. And like we see night vision, they were seeing interdimensionally. That's what their capability was as well. So his case is being studied by the government, the CIA, all of the top officials. And so he said, can I send it to my contact at the CIA? And I said, yes. And the guy wrote back, we haven't seen those beings since 1958.
Wow.
And he said,
okay.
And if you saw it, I hope you ran.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, when I looked at the being, I didn't get anything negative, but it didn't really look like us. So that's why it was a little frightening. But I didn't get a bad vibe from it, you know. But I've just seen so much. You know, I had another guy who was abducted, and a friend of mine just called me and said, my friend's been abducted, and he is in a horrible state. Can I bring him to you? Can you just help him? I said, sure, bring him over, and I'll just talk him through it. And he was so shaken. And he said, look what they've done to me. And he lifts up his eyelids, and they have put a device all around both eyes. And he goes, everything I see, they see. And he said, and it's freaking me out. And he said, and I know if I were to go and get this removed, that they would just put it back. Right? Like my friend I told you about, he also has an implant in his arm. Actually, he takes a magnet and goes like this, right? And you see it moving. At Contact, there was another gentleman who came up to me and told me his story. He has one in his arm. They can be put anywhere in your body, by the way.
Right.
And I knew Dr. Roger Lear, who removed them. So if you've never seen the documentary with Dr. Roger Lear and Alien Implants, that's a really good one to watch, because he was a podiatrist, but he started removing these trackers, right? And they were these little balls of some kind of organic material, but then around it would be another kind of organic material so that our cells in our body wouldn't attack it. Right. So he removed a lot. He had them analyzed and all kinds of stuff. So there's so, and look, they're in Mexico. They're at certain points, there's over 350 silver ships hanging in the air, just saying, photograph us, take pictures of us. It's happened several occasions. Right. And people, when they say, like my attorney who didn't know of an extraterrestrial from Adam, right? So I started telling him about it, and he lives in Palm Springs. And he goes, I don't know. Something said to walk outside. And I walked outside, and I looked up, and I saw this ship, and I photographed it. Look. He was like so excited, you know, but a lot of people, like agents, managers. I've had famous actors tell me about abductions, right, that they're having. Others where they're using their genetics to create children, right? There's a famous actor.
You might as well have George Clooney if you're going to have a father. You know, nice looking.
That's
like
right.
George.
That's right. Make them good looking.
I do have a question for you, and I don't mean to be facetious or whatever, but it seems like the anal probe, whether it's South Park or whether it's, even like Waiting for Guffman. Well, I went on board that ship and they started to probe me, and then they probed me several times. What is with the probe thing that seems to always kind of come to light?
Well, that was like in the early days of abduction. Right. I mean, like Betty and Barney Hill, which is the most famous first abduction case, that they actually stuck a needle through Betty's belly button to test her if she was pregnant, well before amniocentesis. I can't even say it. There you go. Thank you.
Amniocentesis.
That's it. Yeah,
Amnio.
that's it. tongue twister. Say it 5 times fast.
Amniocentesis. Amniocentesis. You got twice.
That's right. So there were things like that, but what they're doing is they're taking different kinds of samples from the body. A lot of them now are skin sample, genetics, all kinds of different things. There are so many different things that that's why I created the movie, because you're going to hear from a lot of contactees, people who are actual living here, who claim to be hybrids with extraterrestrial genetics as well. And they are really quite advanced. And I met a group of hybrids that said that they also work for the government because they're much smarter than the average human.
Why do you think there's a supposed government cover-up?
Well, they don't want other nations to know what they're doing, right?
So other nations wouldn't have the same information, you think?
They probably do. They probably all have a little bit of difference, right? But if they wanted to, with one race in particular, in a treaty that they signed, they could say that they don't, that they can't contact another government. But really, are they going to ever really know? Right. So,
okay, from your perspective as, an individual that writes this material and this genre, and also working in film and television, what movie, big movie that's out, what movie do you think probably got it right, or is the closest to what you feel is factual?
Well, I will tell you that Close Encounters is basically, there's a book called SERPCO, SERPO, and it's a planet, star system where these advanced, I guess we would call them gray beings, because that's what we do, but they look a little different than the normal gray beings. They're very intelligent. They're not negative in any way. And they did do that. They did an exchange for our people with their people. And they do come back and visit periodically. And they did bring back, I think after 10 years, they did bring back this. I think that there may have been anywhere from 10 to 15 scientists that went. And they said that I think 1 or 2 of them died on the planet. The rest came back. And a couple wanted to stay there because they loved it so much, right? And so it's a fascinating book, SERPO. So you can get it on Amazon. And that kind of tells a story. And I'm kind of wondering, honestly, if that's Spielberg's new movie is when they came back.
Oh, really? Okay.
UFO one, and I just got major chills.
Is there a tease for a new movie? Because I haven't heard this.
There's not a tease, but he is making a brand new full-blown UFO movie.
Okay, I didn't know this.
I have a feeling it's going to be them returning.
Is it kind of done undercover? I mean, hush hush.
Well, he's never going to let anything out about really what it's about. But I mean, for me, if he's doing something like that, or if he's just doing one on disclosure, that's a whole nother thing, which would kind of be like a Contact kind of movie, right? So, because there's so many people like the Jodie Foster character, right, who are having those mental things, but in actual reality, they were having the experience, right? So that was, the conflict there. But, if he's doing one based on disclosure, because it's not going to be long. I mean, other governments have already come forward and said that they exist. I wouldn't be surprised if our president doesn't come forward and say that they exist. All of Bassett and Danny Sheehan and all of that. They have been working with our government diligently to do this. You know, they released the Tic Tac. They started releasing things to gauge the population's, how they thought about it. Were they scared? Was it a War of the Worlds kind of thing? And I think everyone was just kind of like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
We know we're
We're ready for it.
We're ready for it. But, I mean, when they got those Tic Tacs down in San Diego, a lot of people don't know that what was below the water was a giant mothership Tic Tac.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I think if we're ready for the Kardashians or anything else, I mean, we can handle that. I mean,
yes,
geez.
Exactly.
Come on.
Exactly.
Oh my God. So, Craig, what's next for you? What's the big future endeavor that you have going on?
Well, like I said, I'm going to be making Stranger at the Pentagon, the feature film, and I'm excited about that. And right now, I'm casting a little horror TV show, and I'm casting a sort of thriller. And they just changed directors. They just got a pretty darn big director that I'm excited.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
I can't say who it is yet until his deal's signed, but it's almost signed. So
Nice.
I'm very excited about that. And then, later on this year, I've got some cool projects, in the vein of like the Harry Potters and those kind of things.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. So for people, for the work that you do as a casting director, for people that don't know, which is probably most people outside of the industry, how would you say you go about your work? How would you describe your work as a casting director? I'm guessing it's more, I know this is kind of rhetorical, but guessing it's more than just trying to find the biggest star for that role that the budget can afford.
Well, it is a very difficult job in the sense of you have to have years and years of experience doing it for a number of reasons, is because dependent on what your budget is, and if they want a name, I know who will work for that money or who might be looking for something if they make a bigger paycheck just to do something out of their orb. And then we might be able to get a name that way. But it's also knowing who will want to be in a project like this or that kind of thing. There, look, I mean, I have a million regular actors who would love to be in it as well.
I would.
It was only a matter of time before Tom solicited himself.
Well, I did study with Sanford Meisner, the 2-year program with the real Sandy before he passed away. I'm a good actor, but I mostly do voiceovers now. That way I can, not have to wash my hair like this morning.
that ding sound that you just heard in the background, Craig, that was Tom shooting over his headshot and resume.
Well, you do that. You can do that for sure.
Right. There you go. And
there you go.
Agent, I get 10%.
It's like reading a script and going, okay, this is a money gig for an actor. It's not written well. So what actors will take a money gig? And then I know actors that don't take money gigs, because I've offered them millions of dollars and they turned it down because they're only based on material. So it's really getting to know that. I mean, I'll give you an example. One producer I worked with, I cast a bunch of movies for him. And then he thought, well, I'm going to do this one myself and save money paying you. Right.
Right.
So he called me up all boastful and he said, I just got so-and-so for $150,000. I just got so-and-so for $250,000. And I just got so-and-so for $300,000. And I said, well, the one for $100,000, what you didn't know is that they'll work for scale. So thank you for for overpaying him. The other one would have done it for 65, which is Schedule F, and the other one's quotes. So you've really paid over $300,000 against my little fee.
Yeah, exactly.
So no, you didn't do good.
Right.
So because we're the ones that know. Right. And I can tell producers right away, nope, not going to do your film. They're not going to do your film.
Do you think it's only the big names too that, want to really consider who they're playing with, who the other actors are that are in there, the supporting, as well as making sure that they have a renowned director, somebody that's really going to steer the ship and has a track record of getting there.
Yeah. Any name, you have to have a name director, right? Yeah. And then they're going to want to also see who will go against them, right? Right. And they may make suggestions, and if they know them and the producers approve, then we can send it to them. That's happened on other big movies I've done where that's happened, and then a secondary big star comes on board because of the other star.
Right. So, okay. How did you fall into this role? Because I believe you had an acting history of your own. Is that correct?
I did. I started when I was 15, going out for like bit parts and commercials and things like that. And when I graduated high school early when I was 17, and I went to work for a film company that made teasers and trailers, and they made some of their own movies as well. And I worked there, and then I had quit, and the owner's best friend said, "Oh, my sister is working on this new movie at Universal called Dune." And, so I referred you to her, so she's going to call you. And she called me, and I said, "Well, what is it?" And she's like, "Well, it's a gopher." I'm like, "No, I just did gopher work. I don't want to do gopher work." So I turned it down, and then that was on a Friday. And then I spent my last paycheck on the weekend. And then on Monday, she called me back, and she goes, "Well, are you sure? Are you sure?" And I went, okay. I mean, I begrudgingly took it. I didn't know what Dune was. I didn't know who David Lynch was. I didn't know who Dino De Laurentiis was.
Wow.
Or any of that. But if I had not been on that job, I would not be here today.
That's amazing.
That's what took me. So I worked on Dune for 4 years. I literally, it was just me, David, and a producer and 2 secretaries for the first year. And then everybody started coming on board. So it was a big thing for me to get to see how a giant movie is made from all the departments and all of that. And then we also made Conan the Destroyer at the same time. So I worked on both movies and the same producer.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And we shot them both in Studios Churubusco in Mexico City. So,
wow.
So that was great fun. And then afterwards, the producer said, what?
Hold on. Someone's knocking at my door. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, Craig, this happens often, almost every time.
They just left it outside. I wasn't sure.
Okay,
Sometimes you need to sign for that stuff.
Oh, I know. So,
I'm popular. Anyway, what can I say, dude?
I guess.
It's like my friend Caprita, when he was doing some things in LA, like dropping off scripts. He went over to Peter Bogdanovich's house, and he's like, here I am, like handing him this script to read. I had the same thing, but it's, it's local here in Denver, and it's
local here. There you go.
And it's not a script, but it's like the same idea.
Right.
That's right. So.
It's really been fun, man. It's so funny how I had no idea until I brought up the picture behind you. We suddenly shifted, and like all this stuff I had no idea that you even, knew about. And here you are hanging out with George Neary and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know. It's crazy. Absolutely.
Hanging out with all the paranormal peeps, the UFO peeps, all of that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh my God. So Craig, we're going to make sure that we put a link to, your main website and everything else. So anything that you can send us with pictures of stuff that we've talked about, we would love to add that onto the video component of this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great.
Especially the picture of that guy that you took with your Minolta. I mean, if we could see that, it's like.
Right. By the way, you made me think of something recently. When you were talking about the angels, but they're just like regular people, without the belly button. Somebody recently said, "Oh my God, Deren, you're just like an angel, but without wings." And it's like, so I'm a regular person.
You see?
That's so funny.
Was that a compliment? I don't know.
I already knew you were special.
Right.
Especially when they say, Deren, you're just not as dumb as you look. It's true. You're not as dumb as you look.
No, I'm not.
Oh,
I'm not. Craig, thanks so much. Loved having you on. It was great seeing you. It's been so long, and I hope we someday have a chance to work together again.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too. Me three.
Right. You'll be getting this headshot and resume, I'm sure.
And resume.
Right. I'll look for it.
All right. Thanks, Craig. Really appreciate
so much,
it.
boss.
You're welcome.
Anybody? What do you think?
Like I said earlier, it just took us such a fascinating turn because here we were talking about film and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, what's that poster that looks kind of like Independence Day? And the next thing you know, the next 30 minutes, we get some of these amazing lessons on things that normally we probably wouldn't be thinking about.
Right. Oh my God. Just seeing his face and hearing his voice too, just brought back so many great memories too, for me personally. You've heard it on previous podcasts we've had with people that I've worked with. And when you're working on a film and you're in the trenches together, and that's not just, out in the, on set, and the crazy long hours, but also everything in pre-production. And when you're planning and stuff, you really get to know these people and you see the hard work, but also the fun and the sort of levity that they bring to things, both sides of the camera. It is just so great to be able to work with people like Craig. And I wish I would have known more about what his interests are back in the day.
Right, exactly.
I feel like I could have learned so much from him, but we definitely learned a lot today. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. No, that was great. And hopefully he'll come back and join us maybe after he does his feature film on the short film that he's got in the background, the one about the Pentagon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wish we had some sign off that was a little more clever now, like keep looking up to the stars or something like that. That's
later, dude. It's kind of like we gotta up our game. And it's a tradition, so we must say it once again.
Later, dude.
Tom and D. Two middle-aged idiots.
This podcast is produced by 224 Media with voice and audio support by Fry on the Fly Productions.